name's Amanda, and I'm a registered dietitian for the Iredell health system. I get a lot of questions about sodium and how much we actually need in our diet. This is a great question because 9 out of 10 Americans far exceed the recommended levels for sodium on a daily basis. Today I want to give you some tips and some information about sodium and some ways you can possibly reduce your sodium intake. Sodium is actually an essential nutrient that our body needs. However, we don't need very much of it. It does help with fluid balance, muscle contraction, and helps with nervous system function as well. It's also an important ingredient in certain foods. Remember I said that most Americans far exceed the recommended levels for sodium in the diet. Unfortunately, diets higher in sodium can increase the risk of high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease. Over time, this can make our organs have to work a lot harder and take a toll over time. The American Heart Association recommends that all Americans consume less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. That is actually just 1 teaspoon of sodium. And if you're familiar with the little packets, each little packet of sodium here is 200 milligrams. So this is what 2,300 milligrams looks like. If you have pre-hypertension or hypertension, high blood pressure, the American Heart Association recommends that you consume less than 1,500 milligrams per day as your daily limit. So that's about 7.5 of these packets. On average, Americans actually consume over 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day. So here's what the average American intake of sodium looks like. So that far exceeds that 2,300 milligrams per day. If you're a person who likes to use the salt shaker on your food after you're done cooking it, if you use a lot of salt during cooking, and if you consume a lot of processed, packaged, and canned foods, it is very likely that you are consuming too much sodium on a daily basis. Using products such as Mrs. Dash or other herb and seasoning blends is a great way to lower your sodium intake versus using the salt shaker. I just want to do a quick comparison here just to show that any food item that has the word salt, sodium, sodium nitrite, or MSG, monosodium glutamate in it, is sodium. So let's do a quick comparison. Here I have some sea salt. 1/4 of a teaspoon of this sea salt is actually 550 milligrams of sodium. That could be sea salt, it could be kosher salt, pink Himalayan, it is all sodium. Here we have Lowry seasoned salt. 1/4 of a teaspoon of this is actually 380 milligrams of sodium. Now we'll compare that to a product like Mrs. Dash. This is just the original blend. It is salt-free, so there is no sodium, but there's a really nice blend of herbs and seasonings in this product, so you really get a lot of flavor. You can use the nutrition facts labels on foods as a tool for reducing sodium. It will show you how many milligrams of sodium is in 1 serving of food and also the percent daily value. So you can see here on this food, the serving size is 1 tray. The sodium here is 1,570 milligrams, and if you slide your finger across, that is 68%. If you see 5% daily value or less of sodium per serving, that is low. 20% daily value or more of sodium per serving is high, so this food is quite high in sodium. Fresh foods are your best bet to ensure that you are getting a lower sodium intake. Fresh fruits and vegetables have virtually no sodium and are very beneficial to include in your diet on a regular basis, especially if you have high blood pressure. So remember I said that the American Heart Association recommends that most of us consume less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. So that's what this looks like. I want to show you some common everyday packaged and canned foods that you will see in the grocery store and how their sodium content compares to this 2,300 milligrams. So here we have a package of beef stew, a microwavable meal. It has 1,570 milligrams of sodium. So that's really getting us to almost our limit for the day just in that one meal. This little package of pepperoni has 680 milligrams of sodium. These salted sunflower seeds, the entire package is almost 1,900 milligrams of sodium. 2 slices of pizza, 1,380 milligrams of sodium. Here we have some clam chowder, 1 serving, which is just 1 cup. If you only consume 1 cup, 790 milligrams of sodium. And here we have a cornbread muffin mix. 1 muffin, just 1, is 440 milligrams of sodium. Up here we have pickles, 8 pickles, 330 milligrams of sodium. And last, pretzels. The serving size on these pretzels is 22. Mini pretzels is 320 milligrams of sodium. So you can see, based on the sodium content of these foods, that it is very easy to get too much sodium in our diets. When you are grocery shopping, you always want to look within a brand of food to see if a lower sodium version of that food is available. So here are some ideas and some foods to look for. Here I have some tomato sauce. We have the no salt added version of the sauce and the regular original version. In a 1/4 of a cup serving size, the no salt added only has 15 milligrams of salt, so almost hardly any at all. Whereas the regular version has 380 milligrams for that same serving size. In something like canned vegetables, we have no salt added green beans and then the original canned green beans. The serving size here is a 1/2 of a cup for the no salt added, and it only has 15 milligrams of sodium, so very, very low. Whereas the original version, same serving size, a 1/2 of a cup, but there is 290 milligrams here. Now for some food items, even though there's a lower sodium or reduced sodium version available, you still have to watch the amount you're using because it can be quite high. Here's an example of that. I have soy sauce here. I have the reduced sodium and the original. The serving size is the same for both of them, 1 tablespoon. Here's the reduced sodium. 1 tablespoon is 500 milligrams. 1 tablespoon of the original is 910. Both of those are high. I would still recommend you use the lower sodium version, but still watch the amount you're using because that can add up quite quickly. Same for something like, here I have taco seasoning. I have the original version and the 25% less sodium. So if you use about 2 teaspoons of this, if you average that out per taco, that's about 300 milligrams of sodium for the original, but 220 for the less sodium. So yes, it's a reduction, but it's still quite high, so you would still want to watch the amount you're using. I hope you found today's tips and information about sodium helpful. You can check out the American Heart Association website for really great lower sodium recipes and more information. You can also schedule a meeting with a registered dietitian if you would like to look more closely at the sodium intake in your own diet. Thank you so much, and I wish you well on your journey toward better health.